We'll call Community Service Commission meeting. We'll call to order at 5:38. Reminder for commissioners to speak clearly and loudly into the microphone to ensure quality recording is made of tonight's meeting, and then silence cell phones. Roll call.
Commissioner Lawler?
Present.
Commissioner Wilkenstein? Present. Commissioner Matsuoka?
Present.
And Chairperson Chambliss?
Here. Okay. Item number 2, approval of our June 28, 2023 commission meetings. Commissioners have a chance to go over those. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve those?
All motion to approve?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Item number 3, public comment. Any person may directly address the commission at this time on any item not on the agenda or any item that is within the jurisdiction matter. The subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. Maximum 5 minutes is allowed for each speaker. Public comment, anything not on the agenda. No. Okay. Item number 4, Tri-County Health Care District Grant Cycle 2023 discussion update.
All right. Well, good evening, commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. Just to recap, back in January of this past year, we met as a commission, or you met as a commission, to go over some applications that we wanted to submit to Tri-County for the grant cycle 2023. You compiled a list, and that list was sent over to the Kingsburg City Council, and they chose a project that was an interest of this group. It was redoing Memorial Park and Downtown Park's play structure resurfacing. We wanted to do away with the soft fall material or the bark material and do the pour-in-place rubber. Just for ease of access, more inclusive play, easier to maintain for the city. And so that project was submitted to Tri-County, and we just learned at the end of July that it was accepted. So the city has received funding to redo that at Downtown Memorial Park. The original grant ask was $72,000, give or take, in that area. They came in at a 50% match. And so at the last council meeting, we brought it to council, and they approved the additional match of the other 50. So because of this commission, that project will go forward, and we'll send the rest of it with the engineering department so that we can kind of get that project off the ground. But that is the update for the Tri-County grant cycle, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
It's exciting. Any questions?
Is it typical for them to do a match, to request a match?
Yes, just depending on the type of project. We've had them do it in the past, not recently for anything Parks and Rec related, but in the past they like to see some buy-in from the community or from the city. So.
Right.
That's exciting. Excited for that to see that updated. Any public comment in regards to the Tri-County grant? No. Okay. All right. Item number 5, dog park discussion and design update. Report by Community Service Director Adam and our subcommittee.
All right. Well, thank you. So yes, on tonight's agenda is an update on the Kingsburg Dog Park. Or the Laurel Street Dog Park. And tonight we have with us David Peters with Peters Engineering, and he's been influential in the design aspect and getting this project off the ground for the city. And so I'm going to kind of hand it over to him to kind of go over just the layout and the design, kind of what we're looking at. I know the subcommittee has already discussed this and gone through some preliminary design topics the last couple of meetings. But just kind of got a final update, and the intent of tonight's meeting is to get commissioners' consent and approval to go ahead and move forward with certain aspects of the design so that we can go ahead and start working and crunching some numbers on what this project is going to cost. So with that, I'll hand it over to David Peters.
Thanks, Adam. Good evening, Chairperson and Commissioners. Dave Peters, City Engineer. So we've been working on the conceptual design of the park over the last couple months. We've done a field survey and been working with landscape architect Patrick Boyd to develop a plan. Patrick was not able to be here tonight because a medical procedure that he is undergoing, but he wishes he could be here and wanted to express that. So I'd like to just kind of review the concept plan. The concept plan has been reviewed by staff. It also has recently been reviewed by the Dog Park Subcommittee. And so I'd like to just kind of describe what the project is, what the improvements are, and then we can kind of go over some of the discussion that was at the subcommittee meeting, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have at the end of my presentation. So as you know, this project is the budget for this project is $1.2 million. It's essentially to upgrade and improve the dog park that is currently out at the Laurel Drainage Basin. As you know, there's not a whole lot of landscaping or anything else out there, very few amenities, so this really adds some pretty robust landscaping to the basin. And I should mention that this will remain a drainage basin, so it's going to be kind of a dual use facility. So in the winter, it will be full of water, or could be. Generally, our drainage basins kind of empty out pretty quickly after rains, and this is in an area where the soils are pretty sandy, but it will remain a drainage basin. And we share this drainage basin with Caltrans, so it not only takes city drainage, but it also takes drainage from the freeway. So we need to maintain, for the most part, its current shape so that we can maintain that volume. But yeah, as I mentioned, there's robust landscaping that's going to be added to the basin. The embankments, with the exception of the very bottom, will be turf. They'll be irrigated, so they'll be green throughout the summer. Public Works departments will frequently mow those. The bottom is going to stay essentially sand, but I've talked with the Public Works Department about doing routine maintenance in the bottom part, even though it's not turf, to make sure that there's no weeds or anything like that may interfere with the use of the park. The reason that that's not turf in the very bottom is we have had a couple of basins in the past over. I've been city engineer, I think, 23 or 24 years, so we've done multi-use facilities and basins here in town a few times in the past, and we find that the very bottom of the basin is very hard to maintain. It's just that's where all the water goes. That's where a lot of the infiltration is. The sprinklers are very hard to, they get clogged up, very hard to maintain that bottom. And even in the summertime, there's nuisance water that will find its way to the basin. So, irrigation overflows, water from people washing their cars or, washing things down. So just because of those factors, the very bottom is very hard to maintain. And so generally we leave those unimproved, but the embankments, again, will be turf. And then there's trees and shrubs all along the upper portion of the basin. And again, those will be maintained and irrigated throughout the year. Along the top perimeter, there's a 6-foot wide decomposed granite walk path. And the reason that decomposed granite was selected was because asphalt or even concrete can be very hot on the dog's paws. And so Patrick recommends that we do a decomposed granite walkway. I've talked with our Public Works department. They think that that would be fairly easy to maintain. We can put a soil sterilant down before we put the DG down to keep the weeds down, or it keeps the weeds from coming up. They did not see any problems with maintaining that type of facility. Along the walk path, periodically there will be lights, and these will be taller, like 12-foot pedestal lights. So they won't be quite as tall as the street lights, but they'll be fairly tall. They won't be like the short bollard lights. And these lights will provide safety lighting all along the walk path. So even in the early morning or twilight hours, those areas will be lit for security reasons. Over in the on the south side of the park, there will be an area that will be synthetic turf, and will include multiple smaller dog play equipment. And I have to admit, I didn't even know there were such a thing as dog play equipment, but apparently there are. So this will be play equipment that the dogs can utilize to exercise and have some fun. There'll also be in that area a shade structure that will provide some shade. So either the owners or the dogs can kind of refuge in that shade area when they're using those facilities. We're adding a restroom to the park, so you'll see up in the upper left-hand corner of the plan, there'll be a two-stall restroom. So it'll be similar to, if you've been by Athwell Park, it'll be similar to that. We'll probably utilize a prefabricated building, and we'll set it there, and obviously be hooked up to water and sewer and electricity. On either side of the restroom will be a bench area and shade structures. So that's what you see there in those larger, darker rectangles, and then the smaller symbol in the middle of that is the bench. We're adding a couple of actually 3 parking stalls just to the south of that area. 2 of them will be handicap accessible, so anybody accessing the park that is handicapped will have access to those stalls. And we're going to add, as an additive alternative in the bid, the construction of a block wall along the west side of the park up against the freeway. And that particular fence will be a block wall if the budget allows for it. So we've been kind of costing all this out, and the budget's getting kind of tight right there at the end. And it's a publicly bid project, so we won't really know what the costs are until we send it out to bid. But if there's budget to do it, it will definitely be included in the project. A lot of the things that I just discussed were discussed by the dog park subcommittee, but I just wanted to kind of go over that discussion for the benefit of the commission. One of the comments that we got back that we discussed was kind of thinning out the trees in the corners, which we've done from the previous plan to allow for a little bit better access into those areas in the corner. So if the dogs kind of get off the walking path, it's easier to retrieve them. There was a pretty robust discussion about the bottom of the basin and why that's not turf, and I think we've touched on that tonight, so I'd be happy to answer any other additional questions you have on that. They wanted to make sure that there was lighting in the project, and there is lighting in the project, as I discussed. They wanted to add a 3 to 4 foot fence around the pet washing area. So yeah, I should have mentioned that in the near the I don't know if you can bring that up or not. As part of that restroom building in the back there, there'll actually be an area where you can wash your dogs. So if they get dirty, you can kind of clean them off before you take them back home. So that'll be incorporated into that building, and they wanted to add a little fenced area to secure that, and that makes sense. So that's been added to the plan. There was a question about the decomposed granite versus some other surfacing for the walking track, and again, it just has to do with the amount of heat that's transferred to the dog's paws. And then they asked for the block wall against the freeway, which we will include as an additive alternate. So that concludes my presentation, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
One question I do have, the synthetic turf,
Yes.
could we just do regular grass there? Was there a reason why we chose synthetic?
I would like to double check with Pat on that, but I believe the answer is just because of the, it would be hard to maintain a regular turf around all that play equipment. I just think with that much traffic and activity, it's going to be very difficult to just continually try to reseed that area and reestablish that turf, particularly without, blocking it off for weeks at a time to let it grow. So I think that's the reason, but I could double check with them. And I think that's the same thing around the restrooms, just because there'd be so much traffic, it'd be hard to maintain it.
Got it. My only concern is that the synthetic turf gets just as hot sometimes as
Yeah, and so
concrete.
we talked about that. Pat and I talked about that, and there's different infill that goes in the turf. So I think you can change the infill. So like you see like the black rubber crumbs, that's what's going to really get it hot. But you can put in like silica sand that will really reduce the temperature. I've heard like upwards of 30 degrees. So
Okay.
we-
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause
we
I'm not
talked. We
super-
talked about that, and there'll be some special treatments
Good,
there
good.
to make sure that it doesn't.
I want to
get
make
hot.
sure that that's addressed, that if it's
Yeah.
going to be synthetic, that we make sure it's
Yes.
the right type of product
Correct.
for the animals, because that can get very hot
Yeah.
and stuff. And it being, knowing that there is going to be the agility stuff as a pet owner, grass is there. If that's an area that's being used, dogs are going to tear it up, and if it's not
Yeah,
seeded, it is what it is.
I think
but,
that was.
But as long as the product is what it's supposed to be, because of the heat again, then I think that's fine. That's the only comment I have. Other than that, I think you addressed everything that we brought, to at our meeting.
Okay. And I should mention, we've run 2 independent estimates on this project so far, and both of them are within budget, not by a whole lot,
Yeah.
but they are within budget. So, as we bring you this plan, we're not overselling it. This is actually what we have money to build. So we're
Awesome.
kind of excited about that.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments from the commission?
I think it looks great.
Yeah.
I think it looks great too. Is an FGP area light, is that solar or?
Actually, if you go to the second plan, I think there's a picture of the lights. Yeah, keep going. Right. Is that it right there? That's it right there. So it's gonna look like that. Yeah, and all the lights that we put in now are LED. So I mean, it'll be it'll be a circuited connection, but it'll be LED.
Looks nice.
Yeah. So yeah, the we have put in some solar lights like you see over at Athwal, and the solar panels. Yeah, they're challenging from a maintenance standpoint. And the solar panels are big, and so that was kind of our.
I just thought maybe because of
Yeah.
the way it looked, sometimes they have attachments to
Yeah,
the lights.
they're getting better all the time. We're experimenting with one right over here behind the library, and the solar panels integrated in the top of the luminaire, and it seems to work pretty good without a giant solar panel. So the technology is improving all the time, but I think for this application, it's probably better to just have a circuited light. Yeah.
Any other questions? No. Okay. All right. So we will open it to public comment.
Yeah, I'll talk.
Yeah, it's about the center part, where the
So-
dirt is.
The bottom.
So we
Yeah,
see
the
your
bottom.
name.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Laurel Finnerty, Kingsburg citizen. And, the center part, whatever that was, is the dirt. Because you're going to get goat heads, you're going to get thorny stuff. I know they're going to take care of it. But I'm thinking about Erling Park. That's all grass, and it's a ponding basin.
It has
So-
to do with the grading of this park specifically, and getting down there to be able to help with some of that upkeep there.
Like with the mower, you mean?
I think the way the water settles because of how steep it is versus
Oh, I
Erling.
haven't been over there in a while. so
Yeah,
I-
this park is a lot steeper than Erling is.
Oh.
So just in general, when the drainage happens, things like that, it's building up in that space.
Yeah, and it does have multiple inlets into the bottom of the basin too, and they're not the bubble up kind. They're actually they kind of poke through the embankment. So, you know, it does cause some erosion and those sorts of things. But yeah,
What about the grate, where the water actually goes down? Some of these ones have big fences around them, and
Yeah.
you know, our kids could get stuck in
Right.
there, or a puppy, or
yeah. So there's a couple of different types of outlet structures. One comes through the embankment. So if there is a pipe that goes through the embankment, there's like a grill or a grate on the end of the pipe, so a kid or a dog or anything can't get into the pipe. And then the ones that come up from the bottom are the ones you're talking about, have the cages on the top. Yeah.
Okay. Also, just a question, because we had so much rain this year, did that get a lot of drainage? Was there a lot of water in it this year?
There was a good chunk of water in it.
Was
yeah.
there? Because I haven't been over there,
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, like I said, it does.
Because it's a banner year.
It does percolate down quickly,
Mm-hmm.
but you know when the storms are frequent, it'll stay full. Yeah.
And also, because dogs do business, are there going to be little areas for little bags and things?
Yeah, all the
Don't
yeah
bring
those
their own?
amenities. I should have mentioned that as well. There's a drinking
Okay.
fountain and those little doggy bag things will be in there
Okay.
as well.
Otherwise, it looks great. Thanks, you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Teresa Lipschitz, and my question is, I have two questions. One is the landscaping. You've got oleander bushes there. They're very poisonous to dogs and children. And so that's something you might want to readdress.
I'll talk to Pat about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's already been noted. Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
and,
Appreciate that.
and you said that, like she was talking about that middle section, you said it's gonna be sand? We're gonna end up with cats and they're using it for cat.
Well,
litter.
I mean, it's the natural sandy soil that we have now. So
Oh,
it's,
so it's just
not
the
it's
dirt.
not going to be like a clay or something that's going to be
Okay.
sticky. So like I said, I've already had a discussion with our public works director. He's going to put herbicide down there to keep the weeds from even coming up.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to make sure that it's that it's mowed and graded, and that because I told him that the concern would be the stickers and the weeds and those kind of things. So he doesn't feel like that's going to be a problem at all, particularly since they're going to be in there every week
Right.
doing landscape maintenance anyways. Taking care of that part's not a
Are they gonna regrade that a little bit though, so it won't go down quite so far? Because I can see an elderly person going out there and with their walker and they're walking around, and all of a sudden they fall down that hole. That would not be a good thing.
Yeah, so there will be some fine grading within the basin, but generally its shape is going to stay the same because we need to maintain that volume. We have a contract with Caltrans, and
Yeah.
we have to maintain that.
I
same
just worry
volume.
about older people taking their dogs, thinking their dogs are
So-
gonna be contained.
Yeah,
And
so
then
the-
they have to go after them
Yeah,
and then they fall.
and these slopes are these are 4-to-1 slopes, so I think if the handicapped person gets on the DG path, and that would be a pretty hard packed surface. You
Right,
should
that
able
would
to-
be okay, but if
Yeah,
the dogs go running down there,
Yeah,
they've
but I
gotta
think
go after them.
beyond that surface, the remaining part's probably not going to be, like an ADA accessible area of the park. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I worry about our seniors.
Yeah, well, I don't think
Getting
we
real
would want
involved in the
to
senior
have
center and
somebody
stuff.
trying to take the route down to the bottom. So
Yeah, but you don't know dogs. They're gonna run all over.
yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So the
that's
concern would be
that's where
so
the,
the concern would be a handicapped person in like a wheelchair bringing a dog to the park and then needing to try to retrieve that. I could talk to Pat about that, see what he has to say.
Yeah, and that was something too that I had brought up when we were talking just in general as
Yeah.
the commission last time about just the pathway and things like that was ADA, and I think that top part, the current people that are currently using the park, they're kind of up in that area. Dogs are going to go where they go, and
That's what I'm
there
saying.
is a small dog section that I believe is fenced off.
Yeah.
That other area there too. So I think that if there was, somebody like that who needed to accommodate, there's that small space
Right.
that would be enclosed that they could allow their pet to run free. And then at our subcommittee, we did talk about just, the pet safe plants and things like that, that they were just, kind of going to go through as a gift.
Okay.
And stuff.
When I can talk to our architect, we might be able to incorporate some sort of a concrete path down to the bottom, so similar to what we've done over at Erling.
Oh, yeah, that,
There are
that little,
some paths down there.
Right.
Yeah.
That might help.
So even if we could just get one, at least they'd
Right.
have one way to get
They
down
could
there
go
and
down,
get back.
right.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Sure. Yeah, I'll talk to him
Okay.
about that. Mhm.
Thank you.
Sure.
awesome. Any other public comment? No?
Yeah, construction probably, if everything goes right, next spring sometime. So obviously you can't do it in the winter because it's going to be full of water, right? But yeah, as soon as the rains stop, April-ish, if we have, clear weather, we could probably get in there and get started. Yeah.
Okay.
And then probably a 2 or 3 month construction schedule. So, knock on wood, but maybe next summer it's open, ready to go. I think that significantly is ahead of our grant. I think the grant gives us till like 2028, but we don't want to wait that long. We want to get it open as soon as we can. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for this to to be done and to look good. All right, so voting, right?
Yeah.
Any other?
Call for a motion to.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and call for a motion to approve this plan. Do you have a?
I'll motion to approve the
Okay, do we have a second?
I second.
Second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right. Item number 6, Athwal Park restroom update.
I just wanted to let you know, I think since the last time we've met, the restroom at Athol Park is the prefabricated structure has been delivered to the park. I was supposed to attach some photos to the agenda, but I didn't get around to it. But if you do have any free time and you'd like to drive down to Athol Park, you can see the structure there. It's currently gated. They're still doing some installation work, so they're not quite usable yet to the public. But I believe they are a nice addition. I don't know if you have.
I have a little update to that. So we just received the bid to do the water and the sewer hookup. So I've been told that that's going to start on Monday. So I don't want to jinx it, but and that work should take like about a week and a half. And then at last week's council meeting, we awarded a contract for an electrical contractor to come and bring the power in and hook the power up. So we're having a pre-construction meeting with them later this week. They should get started in the next week or two. So 2 or 3 weeks from now, hopefully we're, in a position where we're getting close to opening it up. Yeah, generally.
Meeting.
Any questions? Happy to answer anything.
No questions?
All right.
Okay, item number 7, unscheduled matters for the commission members. So this is for discussion only. Action may not be taken. Items must appear on the agenda for specific item to be acted upon. Does any commissioners have any items to discuss? No? No? Okay. All right. And 8, we will adjourn our meeting, 6:06.
Not bad.
Not bad.
You would be